Mfopule Kolopane's novel Ward 6B offers a masterclass in how authors engineer a state of hypervigilance within a character's point of view. To see how this mechanism works, we have to isolate the text in Chapter 2. Kolopane anchors the reader strictly in the mind of Kgosi Mokoena, a veteran of the Umkhonto we Sizwe camps in Angola. For Kgosi, reality is processed entirely through the mechanics of threat assessment. The prose places us inside his head, not by relying on internal monologues about his trauma, but by structuring his point of view as a cascading series of environmental inputs, narrowing down to a single point of failure. We see this immediately in his physical stance. The text explicitly notes he stands with his weight on his back foot. This animated wireframe shows exactly what that does. By shifting the center of gravity backward, the body aligns the necessary physics to instantly spring forward or retreat. It is a posture of constant readiness. Grounding his psychology in his physical alignment establishes the reality of a combat veteran far more effectively than simply telling the reader he feels anxious. Kolopane builds an environment designed to test that readiness. The scene opens at the Diepkloof taxi rank. The text assaults the reader with spatial density, the taste of heavy diesel, Kwaito music warring with a crackly radio, conductors screaming over overloaded engines. This overlapping sensory chaos is not an anomaly for Kgosi, it is his baseline control state. To understand a veteran's filter, we construct a threat matrix. This blueprint map visualizes baseline sensory data as abstract, pulsing nodes. Against this static state, Kagiso shifts his weight constantly. As seen on the map, Kagiso is an active, oscillating node next to Ghosi's stillness. By establishing the chaotic baseline of the taxi rank first, the author ensures that Ghosi's quiet demeanor is read as a calculated tactical choice, a necessary economy of energy, rather than passive observation. The threat matrix only registers an anomaly when something breaks the established pattern. A white Ford Cortina enters the rank. It is illegally angled, with tinted windows, and crucially, it possesses a clean gleam in a place where nothing stays clean for long. Kgosi isolates a single micro-detail before his brother does. He spots the small AWB Triskelion on the dashboard, 3 sevens interlocked. 3 men exit the vehicle. This is threat profiling in real time. As the vectors close, Kgosi does not react with fear or anger. The narrative substitutes emotional reaction with clinical physiological assessment. Returning to our top-down map, we track 3 distinct threat vectors closing in on Ghosi's position. He logs physical vulnerabilities on each vector. Rudy has a taped wrist, and Peterchi nervously touches a bulge at his hip. Filtering the antagonists exclusively through their physical vulnerabilities aligns perfectly with a combat veteran's survival mechanics. The enemy is reduced to a series of mechanical problems to be solved. The physical confrontation is set up with a simple verbal threat. Rudy demands a 200 rand rank tax, but the text does not give us the fight. The narrative executes an elliptical cut, jumping directly from the spoken threat to a sudden blackout. When the scene resolves, 2 bodies are already on the tarmac, and Rudy is clutching his shattered wrist. This omission serves a precise psychological function. For a highly trained soldier, the execution of violence is automatic. It is muscle memory taking over. Within Ghosi's threat assessment loop, the conscious mind is only required for 2 things: the initial tactical calculation and evaluating the final physical outcome. The violence itself is a mechanical blank space. Cutting the action sequence forces the reader to experience the jarring, disorienting aftermath of violence. The text denies the cinematic spectacle of a fight, leaving us solely with the brutal efficiency of the result. The narrative then pivots sharply. The AWB net closes, and the environment collapses from the sprawling taxi rank into the claustrophobic reality of a white van, where Kgosi is bound, bleeding, and hooded. This is a total sensory collapse. The dense, rich inputs of Diepkloof are entirely stripped away. He is deprived of sight, mobility, and spatial awareness. Removing the physical data forces a transition. Kolopane moves the text from a grounded, hyper-realistic physical space into the speculative sci-fi territory of the twin connection. Stripped of his external environment, Kgosi directs his focus inward. He reaches out with a part of himself that does not need a body. This waveform represents the isolated pulse of the twin frequency. the only signal remaining in the dark as he feels for his brother's heartbeat. Chapter 2 operates as a spatial funnel. It forces the reader from massive environmental overstimulation down through calculated threat assessment into absolute sensory deprivation, leaving only the psychic tether intact.